This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr. Here's what's coming up on the show. We have Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall injury updates going into this Thursday Night Football matchup between the 49ers and the Rams, a big matchup inside the NFC West. We do have some much-needed good news for Niner fans with what could come up on the horizon, and I'm going to explain why I can no longer trust Pro Football Focus in a certain regard. And let's begin here. According to General Manager John Lynch, who was on the radio this morning, he relayed the news that Brock Purdy is officially questionable against the Rams on Thursday night. And look, I don't think the Niners and Brock Purdy made the right decision for him to play against Jacksonville. Purdy on Sunday clearly wasn't right. He moved around really gingerly. He wasn't firm on his feet. He didn't really have a stable base. He couldn't drive off of his foot. And because of that, he airmailed, overthrowed, and sailed passes. He wasn't as mobile as we usually see him, and that impacts his game because Purdy is so special with his ability to improvise and create, making plays out of structure. And when you don't have good footwork and when you're nursing something with your lower half, your mechanics get out of whack. What does that lead to? Inaccuracy. And Purdy was very inaccurate, and that's part of the reason why he threw a couple of interceptions against Jacksonville, a defense that has been very turnover savvy to start the year. I just don't think Brock Purdy should have played against Jacksonville. He wasn't 100% in that game, and he played like it, looked like it, and then he comes into the facility on Monday, and he tells Kyle Shanahan, I'm feeling sore. So he re-aggravated the turf toe injury, and that is an ailment that has a very high risk, according to doctors, of re-aggravation. And so he should have sat out against Jacksonville. That would have given him ample time to potentially get ready for this Thursday game against the Rams. Instead, he plays against the Jags, doesn't play well, the Niners lose, now he might be out again. And so if Purdy can't play, Mac Jones is going to start again for San Francisco. And this is pretty crazy that going into week 4, the Niners were the number 1 team in the NFL in passing yards per game because of what Purdy did in week 1, but what ensued with what Mac Jones was able to do in weeks 2 and 3. Ran the offense very well, was able to play point guard, distributed the ball all around the field. He found 8 guys against the Saints, 7 different receivers against the Cardinals. He displayed the long ball talent. I thought he threw well within the pocket, had really good plays there. And I think he gives the Niners a chance to win against the Rams. And I think a healthy Mac would have given the Niners a better chance to win over an injured Purdy against Jacksonville on Sunday. Obviously, there were some concerns about Mac's availability and his health because he re-injured that knee that he injured in week 2 of the preseason against the Raiders, against the Cardinals in week 3. But people were telling me that Mac couldn't move around, that there's no way he could have played on Sunday. But the Niners put out their injury report on Monday, and if they had a practice, they're only going to have one, in the lead up to this Rams game, he would have been a full participant. Now, even when you're a full participant, you can still be injured a little bit, but clearly he was to a point where a day later, he could have played on Sunday. So I don't think the Niners really played their cards right. It cost them a football game, even though they made all of those mistakes. Purdy 2 picks, 4 turnovers in total, 6 drops, 87-yard punt return for a touchdown. They still had an opportunity to win that game late. That's like a half glass full type of approach. If you want to look at that Jaguars defeat in that light, that despite all of those things that went wrong, the Niners still had an opportunity to win, which is a reason why I still think that they can be a playoff team this year. I'm not saying that the season is over like some people are saying after that week 4 defeat. Purdy, no doubt, is better than Mac, but he's not better than Mac Jones when Mac is healthy and Purdy is hurt. And people have taken that when I've talked about this on social media as me ripping Brock. People have said, you're always so negative with Purdy. I was one of the first people in Niners media to say that Brock Purdy was legit, he should make the 53 as a rookie, and that the Niners have something special here. Then, when he played as a rookie, I'm saying, this guy's a legitimate quarterback. And he does have the potential to be a top 10 guy. Now, he has to limit some of the turnovers, but when he's hurt and he doesn't look right and he's making mistakes left and right, he needs to be held accountable, especially when you give him a contract extension worth $55 million per year. Here's what John Lynch said about Purdy. We always look into everything for all of our players, so we will take every precaution to make sure that Brock's all right. I think he is. Now, it's just a matter of, can he turn it around on a short week? I think he's listed as questionable. I think it's a true reflection of where he's at right now. And you look ahead to this matchup on Thursday, and you think about the opponent. It's a quality opponent in the Los Angeles Rams. They are 3-1. The only game that they lost was to the Eagles on the road when they gave up 26 unanswered points. And so it got a little bit weird, wonky, and a little bit fluky. Their defense is stellar. They're good along the interior. Braden Fisk, really good player. Byron Young, another really good player. Jared Verse, I think, is a future Defensive Player of the Year candidate. And you have that Rams defensive line going up against this 49ers offensive line, which we'll talk about a little bit later, with the Niners as banged up as they are, without Brandon Ayuk, without George Kittle, potentially without Ricky Pearsall, maybe without Juwan Jennings, with a backup quarterback. Don't feel good about this game on Thursday. I do feel good about what Mac Jones can do if he's right, and Lynch said the same. Mac's doing well. Mac's been really good for us in every respect, and the way that he's going about his rehab with the knee situation that he's been dealing with has been no different. He's tireless in his work, so I think Mac's in a good spot to back up or play if need be. And so I do want to pop up this poll question, and I'm telling you right now, if Mac Jones plays well on Thursday, doesn't turn the ball over, and the Niners win, it's going to be a little bit of a quarterback controversy. Not a serious one where Shanahan will actually think about playing Mac over Purdy, but among this fan base, among some media members, it will be a topic. So who do you want to see start on Sunday? Is it Brock Purdy type BP? Is it Mac Jones type MJ? As far as Ricky Pearsall, he has developed and evolved into the 49ers' number one wideout. It's been one of the best wide receivers in the game through the first month of the year. He's also questionable because of a PCL injury. And as we know, he was dealing with the knee issue going into that game and then suffered another and a separate knee issue with the PCL. Basically what the PCL does, it stabilizes the knee. And if you hurt that, it feels like you have a lack of stability. That's immediately what Pearsall said he felt after he tried to go toe drag swag on the sideline and fell on that knee. And going into this game on Thursday, look at the Niners' injuries on offense. It's an offense that hasn't found its stride yet. They're not good in the red zone, and they've been really up and down. They can't run the ball. Offensive line-wise, they can't protect. They can't open up running lanes for Christian McCaffrey. But you have Brock Purdy dealing with the toe injury, Ricky Pearsall dealing with the knee injury, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle already out with their knee and hamstring ailments. And then Juwan Jennings is pretty much just banged up from top to bottom. What a special year, though, that Pearsall is having. And if the Niners don't have him against a Rams team, I like their front defensively. But they are susceptible in the secondary. We saw them get exposed against Indianapolis. We saw them get exposed against Philadelphia. And so not having Pearsall hurts with how the Niners can exploit that Rams defense if the pass protection can hold up. And without Pearsall, you're missing a guy who has consistently this year made plays downfield. He's been very explosive, and a lot of his 20 catches have gone for first downs. I'd say 80 or 90% of his grabs have gone for first downs. 20 catches for 327 yards this year. Hasn't found the end zone, but the production outside of the end zone has been terrific. He's fourth in the NFL in receiving yards. The player who's number one is a player who the Niners are going to try to bottle up on Thursday, Puka Nacua, who through 4 games already has 503 receiving yards. Pearsall is also fourth in separation win rate against man. When the Niners drafted Pearsall, I had said, I think it's a little bit too early. I don't love the pick. Better players on the board, but good route runner, good footwork. The Niners probably took him because he can beat man. What could the Niners not do against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl? Beat man. Well, so far, so good on that front because Pearsall has been able to beat man coverage, and he's been that first down machine. More to get to here on the show, but don't forget to hit that subscribe button, Lock us in, join the movement. And if you do subscribe to the channel, you're not going to regret it. I'm giving you daily, free, and year-round coverage of the Niners. That's a big reason why we have such a big subscriber base, approaching 174,000 subscribers. So hit that sub button and hop on board now. Let's get to our sponsor, today's San Francisco 49ers Report, sponsored by our friends at Prize Picks, the #1 fantasy sports app in North America. You can win big up to 2,000 times your money. It's available all across the country. Download the app, create an account, and when you use the code CLNS at prizepicks.com/CLNS, that's how you can download the app. When you play your first $5 lineup, you get $50 in lineups right back. And there are some new features with Prize Picks. It's the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup, like Brock Purdy, more on passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns. Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup, only on Prize Picks. You can also follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit the follow button. Check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. We have a 2-pick power play this week. Christian McCaffrey, what a job he's done catching and receiving the football this year. More than 48.5 receiving yards. Puka Nacua, more than 97.5 receiving yards. New users, play $5. Get $50 instantly in lineups. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, we move forward here on the show. That 49ers loss to the Jaguars, very maddening and frustrating on Sunday. And right now, Niner fans with that defeat and all of the injuries happening on both sides of the ball are in need of some good news. I have some potentially good news for Niner fans that could come on the horizon. If the Niners can stay afloat and keep their heads above water, reinforcements are coming. And this is why it was so big for the Niners to get off to that 3-0 start with the easiest schedule in the NFL, because it gives themselves some wiggle room to drop a game like they did against the Jags. But looking ahead to week 6, that should be when George Kittle comes back. He impacts the pass game and the run game. Week 7, Malik Mustafa should be able to return from his ACL injury. That's a starting safety who's a terrific young player. Right around week 9 or the middle portion of the year, Brandon Ayuk can come back. He's going to help the pass game, and alongside Kittle, that can improve this lackluster red zone offense. And going into week 10 after week 9, that's the NFL trade deadline. And I think John Lynch, if the Niners keep winning and they have around a 500 record or an above 500 record, he's going to make a trade to try to find a Nick Bosa replacement. That's something to be excited about. George Kittle has been sorely missed, by the way, for this Niners offense. George Kittle, a lot of people don't realize this, how special he is as a blocker and the impact that he has in the ground game. With the ground game on design runs since 2024, when George Kittle is on the field, the Niners have averaged 4.9 yards per carry. Without George Kittle, 3.3 yards per carry. That 3.3 number without Kittle, it's been a problem this year. We have seen it. And guess what that 3.3 number also is? Christian McCaffrey's yards per carry this season. CMC has carried the rock 69 times. Very nice. For 225 yards. Not nice. And the 3.3 yards per carry. The Niners are the only team in the National Football League that does not have a rushing touchdown the first 4 weeks of the year. Now, obviously, a lot of this is because of the porous and bad offensive line play, especially along the interior, but it's also because the Niners are really missing George Kittle. Once he comes back in week 6, that's another weapon who has a great on-field continuity, camaraderie relationship with Brock Purdy, right? And they know each other like the back of their own hands. He can help you in the red zone. He's going to be able to help you in the ground game as well. And let me round out with this. When it comes to grading offensive linemen and offensive line units, I can no longer trust Pro Football Focus. They released their rankings with how the Niners have fared in pass protection and run blocking. It's a joke. And this is a great example of how numbers, stats, and analytics don't always tell the full story. Sometimes you have to look at the tape because the tape never lies. And the tape has shown us this year and over the last couple of years that this 49ers offensive line is not good enough. That's on Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch because they don't prioritize it enough. And especially along the interior with Jake Brendel, a struggling Dominic Pooney, and a struggling left guard in Connor Colby, the 49ers have been really bad up front, running the ball anywhere, especially in the red area, and trying to protect either Mac Jones or Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was pressured 16 times against Jacksonville on Sunday. Can't play football that way. And PFF, through the first 4 weeks of the year, has the Niners ranked 6th in pass protection and 5th in run blocking? No way. They have not been one of the best teams in the NFL protecting the quarterback and being able to open up running lanes for their running backs. Because, especially running the ball, it's been non-existent. And then the pass game for the 49ers, this is more true, ranks 13th according to PFF. Their run game ranks 28th, and it feels like that. How can your run blocking be 5th, but your run game be 28th? There are no wide open lanes for CMC to run through. Every carry has to be hard earned, and it's because the offensive line is not doing a good enough job. You know what also hurts San Francisco is that Trent Williams has really struggled, and it looks like the age is catching up to him. And what did the Niners not do this offseason? Try to find a Trent Williams replacement. And now that's going to be a huge need for this team after this year. This offensive line stinks. Pro Football Focus can release whatever numbers they want to release. When I watch the tape, what is glaring to me is that this offensive line, it's not good enough, and it's one of the worst collective units in the NFL. Don't forget to give me a follow on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. I'm always giving you Niners content here, and I'm always talking Niners for free over there as well.